on page E14 and page E15. The whole diagram is labeled Facts About Forces. So I know I'm going to be learning about different forces. And from the text on page E14, I know that two types of forces are pushes and pulls. In this diagram, I have some different pictures that have captions, and the captions are going to give me information about each picture. So let's start with number 1. I'm going to look at the picture before I even read the caption, and I see one boy pulling a box and another boy helping him push the box. So let's read the caption together. All pushes and pulls are forces. Pushes move away from you. So this boy is pushing the box away from himself. Pulls move toward you. This boy is pulling the box toward himself. Now let's look at part 2. Forces may change the motion of an object. The heavier an object, the more force you need to move it. So here I have a student pushing a box filled with things, and there's some books in there, so I'm going to guess that this is a heavy box. And here I have another student that is pushing an empty box. So I'm trying to think about which one would be easier to push. I think the empty box would be easier to push. If it's easier, then it requires less force. She needs to push the box less hard or with less force than this student. Let's look at number 3, where I can see a student pushing against a wall. And I'm thinking to myself, is that wall going to move when this student pushes against that wall? Forces work in pairs. Whenever you push or pull on something, it pushes or pulls on you. The push or pull that you feel is a force in the opposite direction. So when she's pushing on the wall, it's pushing back on you. Now let's look at the picture labeled number 4. I have some magnets. And magnets are always labeled north and south. And that's how a lot of different things work. So if I look, I can see that north and south are connected together. I can see when two souths are together, that they are pushed apart. Many things can create forces. Some forces push or pull on objects without even touching them. So here, magnets don't need to be touched. North and south are drawn and pull together. Two souths repel each other or push each other away. Now let's just look down at the bottom. There are some questions about reading diagrams. The first question asks you, what is a force? So you can look in the diagram for words force to help you answer that question, or in the text in bold and highlighted print. Question 2. Do you need more or less force to move a heavier object? So think back to your diagram. Which one were we looking at in order to talk about which required more force, heavier or lighter objects? So look at that picture in order to help you answer the question.